Hi everyone, Sheree here. Today I'm going to create a layout using Felicity Jane Jeana, and I've got this cut file as well which is in the Felicity Jane shop, and this is called Sketchy Heart. So I've gone into my silhouette program and cut this one out. I made it nice and large to fit on the page, and what I'm planning on doing is, you can see roughly here, I've got all these squares of papers from the Jeana kit, and I want to arrange them so that they're inside this heart. So that's sort of roughly how I'm going to do it. That's what I'm planning anyway. But what I've done is just got a blank piece of white cardstock, and I've just popped that heart on there, and I've just used my pencil to trace around the heart, and I haven't sort of gone right on the inside. I've sort of had a look at the heart shapes that are on here, and I've just chosen this one that just goes down this way as well. So as you can see, I've just sort of traced inside. So the pieces of paper will be underneath this line here, but then they should stop. You won't see any of the pattern paper around the outer edges there. So what I'm going to do is stick all of these pieces of paper onto this heart, then I'm going to cut that heart out and stick it underneath the sketchy heart onto another piece of white cardstock. So first step is I'm going to start sticking all these pieces of paper down. I'm using this heart as the template, and then I'll come back and show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so those are all stuck down now, and they're only stuck from the top of each piece, so all of these little flaps are loose, and they can be curled up to create texture as I go. So what I'm going to do now is cut that out, and I can still see by just lifting up those flaps to see where the line is. So I'll go ahead and cut that out, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so my heart is now all cut out, and you can see there that all the little flaps are overlapped the same way, so all the bottom corners of those can be peeled up just to really add some lovely texture to that heart. Now what I'm going to do is use my liquid glue, and I'm just going to run a thin line of liquid glue around the back of the heart, and then I'm going to stick that over the top. Then I'll be ready to complete the rest of my page. Okay, so I'm just going to back that piece now with two other papers from the kit, and that white cardstock piece in the center with the heart on it is cut down to 11 by 11, so the other pieces are cut slightly larger than that to create that layered effect. I should also mention too that when I trimmed my heart before sticking the die cut on front, I did cut just outside the line that I'd traced. The other way you could do it is to cut out the template first and then stick those little squares all over it and trim it down after you've finished. So this one's looking pretty good now. It's all stuck down, and I'm going to add some machine stitching. So it's actually the next day, because when I stopped to do my machine stitching, which you can see here, I've just randomly done some messy stitches on a few of those squares, and I've curled up those little corners as well to create some really nice texture in the middle of the heart. But I also decided to stitch a border around the edge of the page, and then I got a little bit carried away and decided to hand stitch around all of these sketchy hearts. So to do that, all I did was put this little pad, you could use a mouse pad, put that underneath my work, and I just used a paper piercer and went all the way around all of those hearts, poking little holes, and I just used some embroidery thread and a needle and hand stitched all of those. So that took me a little while last night to do, which is why I'm going to finish this one off today. So I'll just give you a closer look at that stitching there. You can see there, I think it's just really added to some lovely texture on this page. So what I'm going to do now is pop you back onto fast forward, and I'm just going to finish this page off with my photo and a little tag here, and a little bit of stamping down the bottom here as well. And I'll be using the Essentials No. 2 stamps that came out last month, which I really love. Alright, so I'll get back into it. Back in a moment. Right, so I've just got a white tag from my stash with some twine tied to the top of it, and now I'm just going to stick my photo so that it's hanging off the right side of the tag, which will then allow me to tuck in this little mustard scalloped piece in under the left hand side, and that's actually cut from the branding strip from the solid coloured paper that I've used for my background on the page there. So I've also got one of those little white paper clips. This one's a white one. They're also available in other colours, I think black and gold as well. Okay, so I'm just playing around with where I want to stick this tag, and I decide that I want to just put some foam tape down one side of the tag so it adds a little bit of dimension, but the left hand side will be stuck directly to the page. But first I'm going to add a little bit of stitching. So you can see there, just along that scalloped piece, I've added a little bit of stitching there, trimming off those little threads, and now I'm going to stick that tag down. Okay, so now that's there, I can start adding other little bits and pieces, and I've got that floral die cut that's from the Jeana kit. Really pretty, that piece. So just tucking that underneath. I've also got one of the light grey tassel bows. I love these. I've just got a glue dot on the back of that, and that sticks it down nicely onto the page, nice and secure. And then I've got this other little piece which says My Heart. So I'm just sticking that on just above that tassel bow. And then I've got a little puffy yellow heart. So just sticking that one on as well. And then I'm just going to add our initials, so P and S, and I love these really light grey chipboard alphas that came in the kit this month. They're really lovely and subtle, which is what I like. So I'm just sticking that along the side of the tag there, and now I can do a little bit of stamping. So first up I've got the phrase Little Moments. Oh, I just discovered a little butterfly that I wanted to staple onto the top of that tag, so just securing that, and then I'll get back to my stamping. So yep, as I was saying, first Little Moments, just going to do a little test stamp there first before going on to the page. And now I'm ready to go. So just making sure I don't have any excess ink on the block so that I didn't want to mess up my photo when I went to stamp. Alright, so next I've got the word Together. So again, doing another little test there. Now that one can go on. And the last stamp I'm using is This Makes Me Happy. So again, testing it out, and I do have some excess ink on the block this time, so just wiping that off, and now directly onto the page. And to finish that bit off, I've got the Felicity Jane date stamp, so putting that one at the bottom there. I love that it has the two little hearts on this date stamp. And now all I need to do is secure that piece of loose twine, so I'm just tucking it in behind, and I'll add a couple of staples with my tiny attacher. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing how this one's come together today. I'll leave you with some close-up photos at the end. Let me know if you've got any questions. I'll pop a link down below to Felicity Jane, and I'll be back again really soon with another project to share. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye for now.